Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited because it is one of my favorite seasons. It's fall, and so I know this is a little bit late. We're gonna go through my fall TBR, which, if you read the title of this video, is 50 plus books. So I know what you're thinking, 50 plus books, that's a lot. Sarah, you're not gonna read that many. You're right, I'm not. This is just all the books I physically own and that I've like seen in other fall videos, or like I've done research and I've decided that they give me fall vibes. So I made one ginormous list, and that's kind of the books that I want to try to pull from, especially for like September and October. I already had read 3 of them previous to this video, and I do think they kind of gave me fall vibes. I read These Twisted Bonds, sequel to These Hollow Vows. I read Spells for Forgetting, total fall vibes. Absolutely pick that up if you haven't. And then I read Assistant to the Villain, which definitely like gave you fantasy fall energy. So those 3 would have been on this list, but I already read them. I'll put them in my September wrap up. Before we get into the fall books, I have a super fun announcement. If you follow my videos, you have seen me play the TBR checkout challenge, and enough of you said that you wanted to purchase it that I have decided to make a true board game version to sell. I collect board games and I love them, and so I don't want to give you guys just like a foam board thing, and truthfully the price I would have to sell it for as the foam board is literally like, it's like a $2 difference than if you got a real board game with the cards and a piece and the dice and everything. So I'm gonna do a full-fledged game. We're already working on it. I'm redesigning it. It's not gonna be called the TBR checkout challenge. It's gonna be called Shrink the Shelf. Here's like a little sneak peek, and it'll be a bookcase instead of a bookstore. I'm really excited. It's coming along great, and so if you're interested in that and it's something that you've wanted me to do, please sign up for the mailing list that's in the caption. That will help us know how many people we can kind of expect, because we're hoping to do kind of like a Kickstarter, and I have a lot of big plans. If this does do well, I'd love to do some like I designed stickers and bookmarks, but I mostly keep them for myself. If a lot of people enjoy the board game, then I'm thinking I'm gonna kind of like expand and do my own little bookish store, which would be really fun. I hope you guys are as excited about that as I am, but please, if you really want to help make this happen, sign up for the mailing list so we can kind of get an idea for how many people are interested. Before we get into all of the fall reads, something I want to do with my fall reads is I want to rate them. Like I want to go through and like do like a fall reading vlog where I read a bunch of them, and I want to rate them on a scale of 1 to 5 pumpkins, how fall they are, and 1 to 5 ghosts, how spooky they are, and then obviously the general stars. Kind of like what I did with my beach reads video this summer. So let me know what books in this video you would really like to see in that vlog, and so hopefully I can make that happen. I broke them up by genre. There are so many books down here, but there are also a lot that I don't own that I didn't break up by genre, and we are limited on time because, as you guys know, it's nap time. We're gonna start with romance. First up, Bad Luck Charm. This one is set in Salem, and it's a standalone romantic comedy. It says, she's accustomed to all things odd and otherworldly, but when a bloody animal sacrifice is left as a warning outside her place of business, the police seem to think that Gwen might be the target of some truly evil doers. I saw a TikTok about this one, and it made me think like, wow, this sounds really good. Oh my gosh, okay, wait. This says it's 450 plus pages as a romance? Holy cow. Okay, that's like huge. We're gonna try to go as fast as we can through these. Next, Morbidly Yours. This is on Kindle Unlimited, and one of my really good book friends, Janessa, read it and she was obsessed with it. This is not focused on me. Was that not focused on me the whole time? Did I just fix it? I'm gonna be so mad. Morbidly Yours. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It has almost no description. So I just watched my friend's Janessa's TikToks and she really loved it. It said, more time she spends with serious, sarcastic Callum, the more she dreads finding him a match, and the more disastrous dates he endures, the more trepidation he feels for Lark's imminent return to the States. If they think it's possible to ignore their connection, they're dead wrong. I know the way it opens is like she gets body bags delivered. She's like visiting this town, I think, and she gets body bags delivered to her front door. And so she goes next door and is like, hey, are these yours? And he's like, oh yeah, thanks. And then she's like, oh, like, what do you use them for? And he's like, bodies. And she's like, I gotta go. And then he's like, no, this is a mortuary, like, this is a funeral home. I'm not killing people. And she's like, oh, thank goodness. It seems cute and funny. It's, you know, cemetery. It's giving fall energy to me. You again, everyone's seen this. It was book of the month. I didn't get it because I was just like, oh, okay, another fall rom-com. I don't need this. But then someone said it's a When Harry Met Sally retelling, and I love When Harry Met Sally, so now I must read it. And then Awkward in October. It is a grumpy sunshine romance on Kindle Unlimited. She says she wants something, a romance stripped straight out of the pages of The Witch of Blackbird Pond, her favorite book of all time. She moved into a fixer-upper, and her grumpy neighbor knows a thing or two about repairing money pits. In October, any wonderful, unexpected thing might be possible. Ooh, okay. I think that sounds promising. Oh, and then Fall into Temptation by Lucy Score. It's literally a fall romance written by Lucy Score, so not sure why we're not reading this, to be frank. I hope that wasn't too chaotic, but that was the best that I was gonna get out of those ones. And I'm trying to go fast because this is so many books. My hair is, of course, crazy. I'm sure you're shocked, but I haven't read The Kiss Curse. I read The XX and was obsessed with this, and so why I didn't read this like immediately when it came out, I don't know. I'm currently reading it, as you can tell from my bookmark that's just flopping all around. I just started it literally, I think yesterday. Witchy rom-com set in like a Stars Hollow like town. I'm really excited. This gives like perfect fall vibes and is such an easy read. Not Your Ex's Hexes, a witch on her own path. Yep, that's what we're going with. It's just a witchy little rom-com. Told you, I'm not trudging too hard through these. Half a Soul, this is like fantasy and romance. It's a Fae Regency romance, and I just feel like something about that screams fall. 7 Year Slip, I'm sure you've seen everybody talking about this. I love this because this guy is a ghost 7 years in the past that is in her apartment, and I just feel like that gives perfect fall energy. I love that her name is Clementine. That will be the second book I've read with a girl named Clementine. I think that's so funny. So I think this sounds really fun. And fall, I'm disappointed in myself that I have not read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Almost got that wrong. I think I misunderstood what this was about when people were talking about it last year. And it sounds really fun because this girl is making YouTube videos pretending to be a witch to like cover up the fact that she actually is a witch. And so a message arrives begging her to travel to teach 3 young witches how to control their magic. And I think this is kind of like a little house of like misfit witches, and she helps take care of them, and it's a romance. So I think this sounds perfectly fall. You guys are gonna die because it's like, Sarah Beth, how many of these can you read realistically? And the answer is like, not many. Not many. This is all just hope, just, you know, wishful thinking. What will we accomplish? I don't know. I was going to put this in here because it's coming out in October, and I don't think it's necessarily fall, especially because it's set at a summer camp, but Wildfire should be on your fall TBR, and I got an ARC and I wanted to scream. So this is on my fall TBR. It's the only one I think I have that I don't have like a real reason for, other than the fact that I'm obsessed with Icebreaker, so I need to read Wildfire. It's just so good. Okay, and then the last one is The Long Game by Elena Armas. This is about like this girl. She works for like this soccer team, and her dad is the coach, the owner. And so her dad sends her to middle of nowhere, North Carolina, where she's tasked with turning around the struggling local soccer team. And it is actually made up of 9-year-old girls. And there's something about just like there's like a lodge on the back cover, and like I feel like soccer just kind of is giving me fall energy. So we'll see. I'm optimistic, but you know, could not be that many pumpkins. We don't know. Let's move on to, I have 2 that are like horror, I guess. So the first one is September House, which I think the cover is like crazy cool. But let me read the description to you because this book sounds nuts to me. A woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in this compulsively readable, twisty, and layered debut novel. When Margaret and her husband Hal bought the large Victorian house on Hawthorne Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price, they couldn't believe they finally had a home of their own. Then they discovered the hauntings. Every September, the walls drip blood. The ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified of something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. After 4 years, Margaret has learned how to live with the house. It is her house, after all. But Hal can't take it anymore, and he leaves abruptly. Now he's not returning calls, and their daughter Catherine, who knows nothing about the hauntings, arrives, intent on looking for her missing father. To make things worse, September has just begun, and with every attempt Margaret and Catherine make to find Hal, the hauntings grow more harrowing, because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. I think this sounds so spooky, and so, kind of makes me nervous. I think I can do it. you know, I'm just gonna read it during the day with the lights on. The only other one I have in this category is The Institute by Stephen King. And I saw Haley Pham said that this is kind of like Stranger Things. Like the characters all have Stranger Things like elements to it. So I'm interested in trying another Stephen King because I read Billy Summers, which I think is a really good fall read. I would like to try another one. This, if I could get around to it, maybe I'll read it slowly over the course of fall. So I don't have a ton of YA, but I did get some random recommendations and I'm trying to expand my horizons. I got Garlic and the Vampire, which is like a cute little graphic novel. I haven't read a graphic novel in forever, but I did read a lot of comics when I was like a teen. I love Betty and Veronica comics. This is about like this little garlic and they're all vegetables. And I guess she confronts a vampire. I don't know, but it was cute. It was like $2 on Book Outlet, and I thought maybe, because I saw Liv's Library talk about it, so I thought it seemed promising. The Naturals, which I know is like really, it's popping off right now, but apparently this is like Criminal Minds, but it's with teens. Sounds really fun. I feel like mysteries just, we all say this, but like I feel like mysteries really give like fall energy, so I'm optimistic about this. I really would like to start it, but if I start it, then I fear I may have to get the other books, and then where will I be with more books? Whispering Pines, I got this for the Upside Down Readathon. It was Liv's Library's pick, and this says, Ray's father vanished without a trace, and Ray knows what happened to him, but no one believes her when she says her father didn't run off, he was actually taken. Her mom decides they need a fresh start, so they move to a new town, but nothing is normal about the new town that they've moved to. When several kids go missing and show up like zombies, many locals brush it off. Sounds like kind of like a spooky little read. A Multitude of Dreams. This cover is absolutely stunning. This was the YA book club pick for B&M this month, and this is a girl it's a fantasy, but it says the bloody plague has finally passed, but what fresh horror lies in its wake.
The princess has lived a sheltered life for 3 years at the boarded up castle. She and the rest of inhabitants are safe from the plague, but Princess Imogene has a secret, and as King Stuart descends further into madness, it's a great risk of being revealed. Rations are dwindling, unhappy murmurings threaten to crack the facade of years-long charade being played behind the castle walls. When Lord Crane sends Nico to search for more plague survivors in the castle, Nico collides with the princess who wants to break out. They will
have to navigate the web of lies they've woven if they're going to survive the nightmares ahead. It's giving Gothic fantasy, but YA. A Study in Drowning. This sounds so cool. First of all, like, it's a library. We know that's gonna be on the list. It's two rival students investigating a reclusive author's legacy, piecing together clues through his letters, books, and diaries, discovering that the house's foundation isn't the only thing that can't be trusted. There are dark forces, both mortal and magical, conspiring against them, and the truth may bring both of them to ruin. Rivals. We love a rivals moment. Let's go through thrillers, because there's a lot of them. There's truly a lot of them. Let's do the ones I don't own first. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I've already read 3 Riley Sager books. I want to keep on trucking. I know this one has like really mixed reviews. It sounds good to me, so we will see how that goes. I think that's the only thriller I don't own that's on my list. That's so exciting. In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife. I never thought, like, I don't know what it was about what people say about this one, but someone finally said something that made me be like, ooh, okay, wait, I do really want to read that. But this is 6 friends, 1 college reunion, 1 unsolved murder. I'm really excited. I love a good thriller, murder mystery. This has been getting so much hype. None of this is true by Lisa Jewell. And again, I just feel like thrillers inherently give fall, but this is about a podcaster and she keeps running into this person. This woman, I think, wants to be on her podcast to like tell her life story, and she's kind of like, I don't know why. I think that's all I know about this, and that's kind of all I like to know as little as possible about thrillers because I think it makes them way more fun. I really want to get to this because I know a lot of people have been talking about it and saying it's like so good. The Only One Left. This one sounds to me crazy good. This is about a woman who, like, I think her whole family was murdered, and she has been silent, and it's what, like 60 years later, and she decides to, like, I think she's been silent since it happened. Oh, she's just never spoken publicly about it. Oh, she was rendered mute by a series of strokes and only communicates with Kit by typing out sentences on an old typewriter. Sounds so intriguing and spooky to me. Like I said, I've got a lot of Riley Sager on my list. Okay, The Last Word. You guys have seen this. This is about a girl who writes a 1-star review for a book, and then the author, I think, is like trying to kill her, or that's what she thinks at least, and she's in this like remote cottage. This sounds spooky, and I am interested. Okay, Lock Every Door, another Riley Sager. I've had this one forever, but I've had it on my list forever. It's a recent acquiring. She's being an apartment sitter, and I think it's like a celebrity apartment, and you're just not supposed to like talk about anyone you see there or anything. And another apartment sitter goes missing, and she's scared that there are other things happening in this building and that she might be next. And I think it sounds really fun. I'm all about some celebrities. And then finally, I have The Wife Upstairs. I think this is my last Rachel Hawkins book that I own that I need to get through. And I've had this one for a while. It says The Wife Upstairs flips the script on Jane Eyre, a timeless tale of forbidden romance, ill-advised attraction, and a wife who just won't stay buried. I want to read this. It's been on my list for a while, so I'm hoping fall thriller energy time is the time to get to it. Okay, let's do fantasy, but specifically let's do like Gothic fantasy, dark academia. The Cloisters, am I saying that right? I don't feel like I am. When Anne Stillwell arrives in New York City, she expects to spend her summer working at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Instead, she finds herself assigned to the Cloisters, a Gothic museum and garden renowned for its collection of medieval art and unique researchers. Patrick Rowland, the charismatic curator specializing in the history of tarot, Rachel Mondre, Patrick's brilliant these are all terrible words. Patrick's brilliant associate, and Leo Bitburg, the gardener charged with cultivating the museum's poisonous plants. Eager to escape her troubled past in rural Washington, Anne is happy to indulge the researchers' more outlandish theories, only to find that her fascination with ancient divination runs deeper than academic obsession. Patrick is determined to prove that the medieval tarot holds the key to accurately telling the future. When Anne discovers a breakthrough in the form of cryptic deck of 15th century tarot cards, she finds herself at the century of a dangerous game of power, seduction, and ambition. As the circle reaches its breaking point, Anne must decide if the tarot cards can teach her not only about the past, but also about the future. It's giving fall. Okay, this is one I've had. Okay. This is one I've had forever. I need to get the sticker off. This gives me kind of like Caraval, but like darker. A group of magicians face off in a daring game of magical feats to find the next headliner of the conquering circus. Accidents, injuries, and missing magicians. Though each act grows riskier, the show must go on, and the three entangled within the dark heart of it will do whatever it takes to keep their secrets from rising to the surface. I just think this sounds really good. And it's a completed duology, so I could read it and then read the second one. You knew this would be here. House of Roots and Ruin. I loved House of Salt and Sorrows. I think it's like the perfect spooky, but like not spooky. It's definitely like Gothic is the way to put it. It is so good. Also, like I'm just obsessed with how beautiful this book is. It's crazy to me. It's so pretty. This follows one of the other sisters, Verity, and I think I gotta be involved in some garden. Oh, she stayed at the family's estate. I'm really excited to read this. I read the first one. I don't know if they're really considered like a sequel, but it's in the same family, same world. So I'm really, really excited to read this. If I don't read this fall, I think I'll cry. Belladonna. I've seen a lot of people talk about this. The cover is already giving fall, and I know the sequel just came out. It says, orphaned as a baby, 19-year-old Signa has been raised by a string of guardians, with each one being more interested in her wealth and her well-being, and each has met an untimely end. Her remaining relatives are the elusive Hawthorns, an eccentric family living at Thorn Grove, an estate both glittering and gloomy. Signa realizes the family she depends on could be in grave danger and enlists the help of a surly stable boy to hunt down a killer. I like it. I really want to read it. Two Twisted Crowns, which is the sequel to One Dark Window. This is out on October 17th. I have an arc and I want to scream. One Dark Window, 5 stars. One of my favorite fantasies of the year. If not, I think my favorite fantasy. I think it beats Fourth Wing for me. It was so good. It was so good. It's definitely Gothic fantasy. Sequel is coming out. I'm so excited. It is so freaking good. It was so cool. Like I'm obsessed with it. Literally obsessed with it. In these Hallowed Halls, I also had an arc of this. It's out now. This is a group of dark academia short stories, and it's by M.L. Rio and Olive E. Blake are two of the ones on there, so 2 authors that I think a lot of people know. And then, ironically, If We Were Villains, which is a dark academia that I've had on my Kindle forever, so I feel like I finally need to pick it up this fall. It just sounds really cool, really fall. I think dark academia is just so great. Also, it's on Kindle Unlimited. I just looked it up. It says, On the day Oliver Marks is released from jail, the man who put him there is waiting at the door. Detective Colburn wants to know the truth, and after 10 years, Oliver is finally ready to tell it. A decade ago, Oliver is one of the 7 young Shakespearean actors, a place of keen ambition and fierce competition. In the secluded world of firelight and leather-bound books, Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off. In their 4th and final year, a good-natured rivalry turns ugly. In opening night, real violence invades the students' world of make-believe. In the morning, the 4th years find themselves facing their own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police, each other, and themselves that they are innocent. I don't know if I've really seen a bad review about it. I feel like everyone that reads it really, really likes it. We could go through fantasy, or we could go through I didn't really have a category for that, but I guess we'll go through fantasy. One I've had forever, A Fate of Wrath and Flame. Gifted thief Ramiria has flourished from her days as a street kid pilfering wallets to survive. Now she thrives, stealing jewels from the rich under the involuntary employ of New York City's most notorious crime boss.
But when a woman secures her services at sword point, Ramiria is plunged into a startling realm of opposing thrones, warring elven, and elemental magic she can't begin to fathom. Her quest is straightforward. Steal a stone from Islor's sacred garden without anyone discovering her true identity, which would earn her certain death. Identity she has assumed is that of the captured Ysberian princess, an enemy to Islor, after she poisoned their beloved king and queen on the day she was to marry the prince. Her betrothed, the newly crowned King Xander, detests her with every grain of his handsome being. Fortunately for Ramiria, she's more valuable to him alive than dead. Xander gives her a choice: live in a cell or an acquittal of all charges in exchange for her help in exposing the growing plot against him.
I think fantasy, fall, like thriller, a lot of fantasies to me just kind of like are fun to read in the fall. Like I read a lot of romance in the summer and then a lot of fantasy in the fall. A Fire Endless, sequel to A River Enchanted. I loved A River Enchanted. I'm really upset because I've had this since it came out, but this is like elemental spirits, the woods, Scottish, Irish energy, and so I think it's just to me like a cozy fall kind of thing. And I'm dying to know what happens, but I was dumb and haven't read it yet. Okay, this is a recent I can't talk today. This is a recent accusation. This is a recent purchase. The Fairy Bargains of Prospect Hill. There's no magic in Prospect Hill or anywhere else for that matter, but just on the other side of the veil is the world of Fae. Generations ago, the first farmers learned to bargain small trades to make their lives a little easier: a bit of glass to find something lost, a cup of milk for better layers in their chicken coop. Much of that old wisdom was lost as the riverboats gave way to the rail lines and the farmers took work at the mills and factories. Aline? Don't know. Fairborn's family, however, was always superstitious, and she still hums the rhymes to ensure dry weather on her sister's wedding day. When Delphine confides that her new husband is not the man she thought she was, Al will stop at nothing to help her sister escape him. Small bargains buy them time, but the price for true freedom may be more than they're willing to pay. It sounds really cute. I love Fae. The cover is just super pretty. Okay, this one's a chunky boy. This is A Warrior's Fate, which I do know is on KU. This was sent to me by the author in a very beautiful box. You should go watch the unboxing on my TikTok. Bound by fate and guided by duty, a warrior's heart, a queen's destiny. This girl finds out that her soulmate basically is her sworn enemy, and they decide, you know what, actually we're just gonna ignore that we're soulmates and just keep it on. The last thing says, something wicked dwells in the shadow of his kingdom and it's coming for them both. I'm really excited, but she's really thick. One for My Enemy by Olive E. Blake. This is like New York witch coven energy, and of course, because it's Olive E. Blake, there's pretty illustrations. It says, in a modern day Manhattan, we lay our scene. 2 rival witch families fight to maintain control of their respective criminal empires. It's kind of giving, it makes me think of These Violent Delights, but instead of being set in 1920s Shanghai, it's set in present day Manhattan. I just feel like, I think the vampire element is definitely giving fall. Okay, this has been on my fall TBR, I'm not kidding, I think 3 years in a row. So if I don't read it this year, I've got to get rid of it. But this is The Ravens, which has like the coolest cover, and it's about a sorority that's only for witches. And I think that's so cool. So I'm just saying, if I don't read this year, you guys hold me accountable. But I got it. It was a cover buy, I won't lie. And I thought the concept was fine, but I just haven't read it. But it sounds like such a good fall read. This was sent to me a million years ago, mind you. But Shades of Rust and Ruin. This is a girl whose family is essentially cursed on Halloween. Like someone dies every single year on Halloween, or their family members only die on Halloween. It's something along those lines. People die on Halloween. And she draws these magical, she draws this magical world, and then one day she just ends up in the magical world that she's made up. And she's like, whoa, what's happening? So it's like kind of giving me, I don't want to say Narnia energy, but it says set in a gritty, atmospheric filled world with magical creatures. A thrilling new fantasy full of romance, twists, and betrayals. It's just, I love that it's set on Halloween. I think that's so fun and fall and spooky, and the cover kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think this is technically YA. Yes, YA fantasy. It says perfect for fans of Caraval. I love Caraval. Another one that I've had a long time, Bloodleaf. This is, she's a princess, but they call her a witch. Surrounded by spirits and burdened with forbidden magic, she lives with constant fear of discovery by the witch hunting tribunal and their bloodthirsty mobs. When a devastating assassination attempt reveals her magical abilities, she's forced to flee the country with nothing but her life. Alone and adrift in an enemy kingdom, she plans her revenge, desperate to bring down the dark organization that's wrought terror upon her people for hundreds of years, but there's something deeply amiss in her new home too, and she finds herself swept into a deadly new mystery with a secretive prince, the ghost of an ancient queen, and a poison vine called the Bloodleaf. I'm excited. I've had this forever. I mean, I've had this forever. I think this is also technically a YA, but I'm not 100% confident in that, so don't hold that against me. I maybe should have grouped the YA category better. But alas, that's me. So Bloodleaf. A lot of sequels are in here, guys, and I'm sorry. Restless Slumber, which is the sequel to Fortuna Sworn. I think there's 5 books out now, maybe just 4 and the 5th one's coming out this fall, or maybe it's 5 and the 6th one's coming out this fall. I know one I thought was coming out this fall. Fortuna Sworn is like a very dark, fae series. She wields the power of nightmares, is what Fortuna can do. So this was really, she's literally called a nightmare. That's what she is. And they thought they were extinct, but she exists. This was really popular on BookTok back in the day. I read the first one and I really liked it, and I haven't gotten around to the next one. Hotel Magnifique. People were telling me in my last video that this gives Caraval vibes, so I love that. But I think it's like this magical hotel that just appears. Hotel Magnifique is famous for its astonishing enchantments, especially its ability to travel the world, arriving at a new destination each midnight. They seize their chance to join the hotel staff, and soon they're swept up in a world of sparkling chandeliers and impossible magic. But not long after, Janie discovers that beneath its marvelous glamour, the hotel's hiding dangerous secrets. Spooky hotel. When I watch this video back, I feel like I'm gonna be like, what were you doing? Apparently losing my mind. All of Our Demise, which is the sequel to All of Us Villains. I loved All of Us Villains, and I don't feel like people talk about it enough. Their magic is like stored in jewelry. So like they put their spells in like rings and necklaces and like bracelets and stuff. And they have this kind of like, not Hunger Games competition, but a competition between all the magic wielding most powerful families. And I don't know, I can't remember now like how you win, but each one puts in like a kid, one of their like teenagers essentially, and it's really intense and really fun. And so I just got the sequel the other day from Book Outlet, and so I'm really excited because I've been wanting to read this because that was so good. And I never see people talking about that, and I think people would really, really like it. It was really good. Okay, fantasy that I don't own. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is like a cozy fantasy. I think you've seen enough of this to know what it's about. A Natural History of Dragons. I saw this one. It's also like a cozy fantasy like Emily Wilde's. Sounds really fun to me. I think it'll be really cool, but it's like telling of dragons, and I think that sounds really neat because I love dragons, and I feel like everyone's kind of like hungry for more dragons post Fourth Wing. This would definitely be different kind of dragons. The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. I think this one is also a cozy fantasy, and it sounds so cute. I want to die. I love it. Sadie has always believed the curse of 4 heartbreaks that accompanies her magic would be worth the price, but when her grandmother is diagnosed with cancer with only weeks to live and her first heartbreak returns to town after a decade, her carefully structured life begins to unravel. Don't know how cozy that is. I also really want to read The Coffee Shop of Curiosities. This girl takes a job as a live-in caretaker for a peculiar old man. This coffee shop has like, I think some sort of like magical abilities, but like also it's got like fun little items. Wayward. One of my good friends read this, gave it 5 stars. I really want to read it. Also, I feel like the cover in general just gives fall. It's following 3 healers at like from the same family at different, like, you know, like over the span of however many years. Like one's right now, one's 40 years ago, and one's the grandmother. I read Spells for Forgetting, so I really want to read The Unmaking of June Farrow, which I also have an arc for. Really trying to up my NetGalley score. I just think Spells for Forgetting was so perfect, and my friend also read Spells for Forgetting and The Unmaking of June Farrow, and she said June Farrow was like so so top tier for her. And she also loves Spells for Forgetting as much as I did. So I think Unmaking of June Farrow is going to be like a top tier read for me. I'm really looking forward to it. Cozy mysteries really quick. And I feel like a cozy mystery is a cozy mystery. So here are some fall ones I have gathered. Pumpkin Spice Cafe romantic mystery is what it's described as. Sounds fall, sounds cute. In the Company of Witches, I really hope I can get to this one because I know a lot of people say this gives like Gilmore Girl vibes and is super fun. And then Death Overdue, which is like a Halloween library mystery, and that just sounds perfect. So all we have left is our miscellaneous pile, which is really funny looking. It's eclectic. So I have Straight On Till Morning, which is by KJ Sutton, same author as Fortuna Sworn, and I think this is like a dark Peter Pan retelling. It says, in 1895, London is rife with secrets. The Davenport family is hiding their lost fortune. She's doing everything to keep her past from becoming exposed. A boy watches everything from the shadows, and an island awaits. Wendy Davenport can't dodge the bank much longer, and her family's dire circumstances aren't improving. She knows change is on the horizon, and soon comes in the form of Peter, whose name is whispered in the streets by friends and enemies alike. They call him a wish granter, a miracle worker. One of these enemies sees an opportunity. Lady Bainbridge, a wealthy woman who knows the truth about the Davenport household, she presents Wendy with a choice. Kill Peter next time he visits and get paid handsomely for her troubles, or all of London will know about her family's ruin. Ironically, another Peter Pan retelling. Darling girl. This one of my friends read and really liked as well. It says, one woman must take on the infamous Peter Pan, who is not the innocent adventurer the fairy tales make him out to be, to save her daughter's life. Obviously, fall to me is for Peter Pan retelling. This I've had forever. The Cartographers. Everybody says it's like magical realism, sort of, I think, light magical realism, but it reminds them of National Treasure, and I literally love National Treasure. It's one of my favorite movies. My husband thinks that's super strange that I love National Treasure as much as I do, but I do. I love that movie obscene amount. Cartographers, Heads Forever. It's about map making, a mystery. They find a map that shouldn't exist. Sounds good to me. Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I've had this one forever. This is a young woman meets a witch who might be too good to be true. And I just felt like when I saw this, it was just, it immediately, it's giving spooky Halloween energy. So I think this is another one that I think I bought at the same time I bought The Raven. So if I don't read those two this year, I'm in trouble. We love a spooky read about a witch. And then finally, a book I've had, I could not even tell you how long, is The Immortalists. And this is, in 1969, the word has spread of the arrival of a mystical woman, a traveling psychic who claims to be able to tell anyone the day they will die. The Gold Children, 4 teens on the cusp of self-awareness, sneak out to hear their fortunes. The prophecies inform their next 5 decades. Golden Boy Simon escapes to the West Coast, searching for love in 80s San Francisco. Dreamy Clara becomes a Las Vegas magician obsessed with blurring reality and fantasy. Eldest son Daniel struggles to maintain security as an army doctor post 9/11, and bookish Varya throws herself in longevity research where she tests the boundary between science and mortality. Both a dazzling family love story and a sweeping novel of remarkable ambition and depth, The Immortalist probes the line between destiny and choice, reality and illusion, this world and the next, and is a deeply moving testament to the power of story, the nature of belief, and the unrelenting pull of familial bonds. But I think more than anything, the cover gives fall energy, but I saw actually someone had this on the fall TBR, or a fall recommendations video, and I was like, great, because I always thought it looked like fall, but I didn't want to put it on a fall TBR if it didn't actually count. My son is waking up, so I'm gonna have to go get him. But that is everything on my fall TBR. Thank you guys for sticking around if you made it this far. If you did, comment what kind of spooky things I should add to my TBR game that I'm revamping, and let me know if you guys are excited about the game in the comments. Please sign up for the newsletter. That will make everything move way quicker if you guys sign up for that if you're excited. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys around.